When ours Tamara Braun breaks down the dark link connecting Sienna and Sharon after their past with Matt. Sienna has shaken things up for the Newmans on the Young and the Restless. The club owner's relationship with Noah is certainly raising eyebrows with his family. However, according to Tamara Braun, there's one person who might show her kindness, and that's his mother Sharon. Key takeaways. Sharon is suspicious of Sienna's relationship with Noah. Sienna's move to Genoa City has the Newmans on guard. Sharon and Sienna share a similar history because of Matt. Traumatic ordeals. Sienna's life has been turned upside down in more ways than she can imagine. Her husband Mitch turned out to be Matt Clark, Roger Howarth, a former enemy of Sharon, Sharon Case, and Nick, Joshua Morrow. Although Sienna didn't want to believe the accusations against her husband, she saw for herself how dangerous he can be. Sienna and Noah, Lucas Adams, faced possible death while being held captive by Matt. But luckily the two escaped and are now safely in Genoa City. However, Sienna's arrival was less than welcoming for the Newmans. The family is still skeptical of Sienna and her intentions towards Noah. One person who's putting Sienna in the hot seat is Sharon. Braun understands that Sharon is wary when it comes to Sienna's relationship with her son. However, as Braun explained to Soap Opera Digest, the two women have much in common because of Matt. These are two women who have similar experiences with a particular man who's done them harm. Both Sharon and Sienna have been put through hell because of Matt. While Sharon might sympathize with Sienna because of her traumatic ordeal, Sharon is still a mother trying to protect her son. Although Sienna understands Sharon's intentions, it won't scare off Mrs. Bacall. I do think Sienna tries to show her respect, but she's also not going to be told what to do or not do, Braun explained. Sharon and Sienna team up? Sharon and Sienna's ordeal with Matt is far from over. With Matt still on the loose, no one is safe. It's only a matter of time before Matt comes to Genoa City, and Sharon, Sienna, and Noah will be his main targets. With Matt wanting revenge, it's going to take a strong force to take him down. So, who better than Sharon and Sienna? The two women know Matt better than anyone else. Based on their experiences, they know what he's capable of and what he's thinking. While Matt may have the upper hand, he might be outwitted by Sharon and Sienna. With their lives in danger, Sharon and Sienna could team up to take down Matt once and for all. And in the process, they might earn each other's respect. Tamara Braun has played complicated women before, broken women, resilient women, women who crawl through fire and emerge changed but unburned. But when she stepped into the role of Sienna on The Young and the Restless, even she didn't foresee how deeply intertwined her character's journey would become with Sharon's, or how a single specter from their past, Matt, would reach out like a shadow stretching across both their lives. In a candid, character-centric breakdown, Braun explores not only Sienna's growing tension with Sharon, but the almost psychological tether that binds them. And, as she puts it, it's not about Matt himself. It's about what Matt awakened in them and what he left behind. Below is Braun's reflection, stitched with plot analysis, character psychology, and the simmering undercurrents that make the Sienna-Sharon dynamic one of the most compelling rivalries to grace Genoa City in years. The past that refuses to stay buried. People hear the name Matt and think he's the connection between them, Braun says, folding her hands as if bracing for something heavy. But they don't understand, he's not the link. He's the trigger. Fans will remember that both Sharon and Sienna encountered Matt at very different times in their lives. Sharon saw in him a mirror of her own youthful vulnerability, the parts of herself she spent years trying to shed. Sienna, on the other hand, found in Matt a doorway, one that led into obsession, dependency, and ultimately identity fracture. They both lost parts of themselves through him, Braun explains. But the parts they lost were not the same. It is that distinction, she insists, that gives the women their paradoxical connection. They are bound not because they lived through the same story, but because they were wounded in opposite ways by the same man. Sharon learned to shut down. Sienna learned to cling, Braun says. Put two people like that in a room? They react to each other like chemicals. Sienna's damage, Sharon's defense. Braun describes Sienna as a character in constant fight-or-flight mode. She's a survivor, Braun says, But she survived by twisting herself into whatever shape she had to become to feel safe. With Matt, that shape became obsession. He validated her hunger for approval, and his withdrawal fractured whatever sense of stability she had built for herself. In Sienna's mind, Matt wasn't a man, he was a promise. Sharon, conversely, viewed Matt as a fissure in her life. His presence wasn't a promise, it was a reminder of her past, a vulnerability she worked hard to erase. When Sharon sees Sienna, Braun explains, she sees the person she could have become but fought like hell not to. And Sienna sees in Sharon everything she was never allowed to be: stable, respected, redeemed. The two women are not enemies by situation, Braun clarifies, but by emotional design. They represent each other's deepest fears. Mirror images with opposite reflections. This is where Braun leans into the darker, almost literary link between the two women. There's a psychological theory, she says, that we are most threatened by the people who reflect the parts of ourselves we've rejected. Sharon sees her past in Sienna. Sienna sees her idealized future in Sharon. It's like they're staring into mirrors that distort. This dark link, as Braun calls it, forms the backbone of their dynamic. Sienna's insecurities are activated by Sharon's composed exterior. Sharon's protective instincts are activated by Sienna's volatility. Together, they form a cycle: push and pull, fear and fascination, resentment and unwilling understanding. It's why they can't stay away from each other, Braun says. And why every scene between them feels like it could tip into danger or breakthrough. Matt's ghost, the catalyst that never quite leaves. Though Matt is no longer physically part of their story, his absence has become a character itself. In Sienna's emotional vocabulary, Matt is unfinished business, Braun explains. In Sharon's, he's a closed chapter she never once reopened. But stories on soaps rarely stay closed. For Sienna, Matt represents unresolved trauma, a man who weaponized affection and withdrew it like punishment. For Sharon, Matt represents a younger version of herself she refuses to confront. Sharon has done a lot of healing, Braun says, but healing doesn't erase history. Sienna forces her to remember.